Hi, my name is Iris Archer. I'm 33 years old. For 9 years, my mother acted as if I didn't exist. Not a single phone call, not one message. She never even asked if I was alive. Then 2 weeks ago, my doorbell rang. I opened the door, and there she was. My mother. Tears filled her eyes, and she was holding an old suitcase. What was inside that suitcase changed my life forever. I still remember the day everything fell apart. I was only 24. My father had passed away just 3 months earlier. Our family was already broken. But my mother blamed me for his death. She never forgave me. One night, she threw my bag outside and said, "Don't ever come back. As far as I'm concerned, you're dead." I spent that night crying on the sidewalk. I had only $200 and no one to turn to. I washed dishes in restaurants, cleaned office buildings, studied at night. Slowly, I rebuilt my life. 9 years later, I owned a small business. I had a peaceful home, and somehow, I no longer hated my mother. But I never imagined that one day, she would stand at my front door. When I opened it, I barely recognized her. Her hair had turned completely white. Her hands were shaking. She looked at me and whispered, "Can you give me just 5 minutes?" I couldn't say a word. Then I looked at the old suitcase in her hand, and I had no idea. The biggest truth of my life was hidden inside it. I stepped aside without saying a word. My mother slowly walked inside. She placed the old suitcase on the table. For a few moments, neither of us spoke. Then she looked at me and whispered, "Iris, I know you have no reason to forgive me, but today, I'm not here for myself. I'm here for you." I crossed my arms. "You didn't care about me for 9 years, so why now?" Tears rolled down her face. She slowly opened the suitcase. Inside were old photographs, several letters, and a brown folder. She handed it to me. I opened it. The first page had my father's name. Below it were the words, "Confidential last will and testament." My heart started racing. I turned the pages quickly. Then one sentence caught my eye. "All of my assets shall belong to my daughter, Iris Archer." I looked up in shock. If this was true, why did you throw me out? My mother broke down in tears. Then she said the words, "Because I lied to you about everything." And in that moment, I realized my entire life had been built on a lie. Felt like I couldn't breathe. I looked at my mother and whispered, "Tell me the truth, and don't lie to me anymore." With trembling hands, she reached into the suitcase and pulled out an old envelope. My father's handwriting was on the front. She looked at me and said, "This is the last letter your father wrote, one day before he died." My hands shook as I carefully opened it. Inside was a single handwritten letter. I began to read. "My dearest Iris, if you're reading this, I'm no longer with you. The first thing you need to know is this. My death was never your fault. I kept my illness a secret because I didn't want you to spend your youth watching me slowly die. The doctors had already told me I had only a few months left." Tears streamed down my face, but the next sentence shattered me. "If your mother pushes you away after I'm gone, please don't hate her. It was my decision. I asked her to protect you even if it meant losing you." I slowly looked up. "What does that mean?" My mother broke down in tears. "It's true, Iris. Your father knew his younger brother Victor wanted everything he owned. If Victor discovered that the entire inheritance belonged to you, he would have done anything to get rid of you." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "So, you threw me out to save my life?" She nodded. "We wanted the world to believe you were no longer part of this family. It was the only way to keep you safe." The letter slipped from my hands. For 9 years, I believed my mother hated me, but every painful moment had been her way of protecting me. Then she whispered something. That made my blood run cold. "Victor knows you're alive, and he's already looking for you." My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I stared at my mother. "If all of this is true, why didn't you tell me sooner?" She took a deep breath. "Because Victor had people watching us. If he had even suspected we were still in contact, you would have been the first target." For the first time in 9 years, I saw real fear in my mother's eyes. Not guilt, not shame, just the fear of a mother who had sacrificed everything to protect her daughter. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Ding! Dong! We both froze. My mother's face turned pale. She carefully looked through the window, then stepped back in horror. "It's him," she whispered. "Victor." My heart pounded. I peeked through the curtain. A black SUV had stopped outside my house. 3 men stepped out. One of them looked around 60 years old. He wore an expensive suit. A calm smile crossed his face, but his eyes were cold. Victor. He was walking straight toward my front door. Just then, my phone started ringing. Unknown number, with trembling fingers, I answered. A deep voice spoke. "Miss Archer, if you want your mother to stay alive, open the door." My entire body froze. My mother grabbed my arm. "No, don't open it." Then, bang! Someone kicked the front door. The whole house shook. Another kick, then another. The wooden door was beginning to crack. I quickly grabbed my father's file. Hidden inside the last page was a tiny silver key taped to the paper, along with one handwritten sentence. "If you ever learn the truth, take this key to safety deposit box 417. Everything you need to expose Victor is waiting there." I looked at my mother. For the first time in years. She smiled. "It's time? Your father's truth is finally revealed." At that exact moment, crash! The front door burst open, and Victor stepped inside. The front door exploded open. Victor stepped inside, calm, confident, as if he already owned the house. 2 bodyguards stood behind him. He looked directly at me, then smiled. "So, you must be Iris. I've been looking for you for a very long time." I stepped in front of my mother. "Leave us alone." Victor laughed. "Oh, I will. As soon as you give me the key." My heart skipped a beat. He knew. He knew about the safety deposit box. Victor slowly pulled a gun from his jacket. "I've waited 9 years for this. Don't make this difficult." Before I could answer, police sirens echoed outside. Victor frowned. "What?" He rushed to the window. 5 police cars surrounded the house. Officers poured out with their weapons drawn. "Victor Archer! Drop your weapon!" Victor turned back toward me, his face filled with rage. "You called the police?" I shook my head. "No." My mother smiled through her tears. "I did. An hour before I came here." Victor tried to run through the back door, but it was too late. Within seconds, the officers tackled him to the ground. His bodyguards surrendered immediately as they placed Victor in handcuffs. One detective walked toward me. "Miss Archer, we've been investigating Victor for years. We never had enough evidence. But your father's documents, they expose everything." A week later, I unlocked safety deposit box 417. Inside, there were bank records, secret contracts, audio recordings, and one final letter from my father. I opened it with trembling hands. "My beautiful daughter, if you're reading this, then justice has finally won. I know these years have been painful, but I hope one day you'll understand that every sacrifice we made was because we loved you more than our own lives. Don't let hatred define your future. Forgive when you're ready, and live the life we always dreamed for you." I couldn't hold back my tears. For the first time in 9 years, I hugged my mother. Neither of us spoke. We didn't need words anymore. Some wounds can never completely disappear, but they can heal. 6 months later, Victor was sentenced to life in prison. My father's name was finally cleared. The inheritance was legally transferred to me, but the greatest gift wasn't the money, it was getting my mother back. Sometimes, the people who seem to hurt us the most are carrying the heaviest burden in silence.